Are we living in a simulated reality? Can you escape it? I published a video last week talking about how the world we take for granted is not as real as we think it is, and they just trigger a whole new level of conversation. So in this video, I want to address some things that I think it wasn't clear because the topic is quite complex. So the analogy, because it's an analogy, it's a thought experiment. To think that this world is a simulation, it can be freeing, but it could be also enslaving you. So watch out. You are the one to judge if it's helping you or not. Because if it's giving you a certain kind of anxiety that you're not in the right place and you should escape for somewhere else where you belong to, well, that is definitely creating more suffering, isn't it? But on the other hand, start questioning that, for example, things that happen in your life randomly, like we're here just living in a rock in the middle of the space, which is just basically nothing, nowhere. And in time, there was just a big bang that just exploded and suddenly we're all here. And I don't know, there are some missing gaps of logic in all the reality we normally think of. It just sounds like a bad script of a science fiction movie, the life we're living. Really, I mean, we're just here living. We just appear and suddenly we are born in a body and, you know, things happen and people die after. I mean, the whole thing is just hard to believe. But we do, because our attention is trapped in a software that our mind is running. So in this whole thing of escaping the simulation, I would suggest the simulation, it is your mind. The simulation, it is not something out there and your mind is just, you're going to take to another reality all your thoughts and who you are. Because in the very moment, let's say you will change to a different parallel reality or something like that, the whole you will change in perspective to what was the past. So what you think about yourself will completely change. So you will just, if you had to switch between realities very quickly, and this is something that is more common than we think, you will just realize that you're constantly changing, and that what is changing is not you, because you are always there. The you that you will say, the deepest, more real you, has never changed since you were a baby now, and you will 50 years from now. It doesn't matter when you are thinking that you are having this emotion or that emotion. There is something in you that is the same you yesterday and tomorrow. And that's what meditation is pointing to. That's what all these simulation theories come from Buddhism, are inspired by the teachings of Buddhism specifically. But it comes to my mind, Advaita Vedanta is the biggest, is the tradition that has insisted more clearly, more deeply on this virtual reality thing. They normally have certain analogies like the dream, that life is like a dream, or life is a dream. But this is not stupid as it sounds at first. This doesn't mean that you have to deny the world, that you have to stop taking care of your body or taking care of other people or paying your bills or living a normal life. No, it's not about that. It is about the recognition that we are in a dream. And the only way to wake up from that is to actually notice that you think you are a character. So it's not that you deny the reality of the dream, it's you just question yourself. And by questioning the character you are in the dream is how you wake up to realize that there's a lot of assumptions in there that are not real, between mostly regarding the separation of you as a person who is suffering an external world, and all this suddenly just start blurring into there is just dreaming. And the character is just a character. It's like you are playing a game. You are not the character in the game. In some ways it's you, because you feel it, because you live it. But it's just because our attention is trapped inside of that mind. So there are many moments in your day which you are actually, for very brief moments, you to be free. One of that moments is in deep sleep. Another moment is when you love someone, when you love something. That moment when you get in contact with that unchanging peace that is in the background of our life, kind of waiting for us to wake up. So the simulation can be a danger if it's deluding you into thinking that you're still the character that needs to escape from that. That's literally a movie. And if you have to draw a parallel between the philosophy of the movie Matrix or this simulation theory versus Buddhism or Advaita Vedanta or classic, there's a clear line in there. In the Matrix, the character is waking up to another reality as the same character. Mostly the same character, the same body, the same person, the same story. And in this other reality, there are threats. And let me make this point clear. Reality, whatever reality it is not in danger. It is true. An illusion cannot threaten it. Reality is just real. There is nothing that could be threatening reality. So we can chill, because even this video, I may not be able to express the truth. I'm certainly not be able to convey, because it's impossible to convey with words. But in this video, I'm suggesting you just to question the character in your dream, not the outside world. Be a nice person, meet your responsibilities, but be free from your mind. Not that you use your mind to escape into another circumstances that you try to imagine and create. That's not the way you escape. You escape by escaping the character, not the external, apparent, separated reality that you are not. No, you are not your body. You are not your mind. But this is not something I want you to believe. This is something that I want you to reconnect, because you are connected to it. This is your aliveness. This is the most natural, deeper part of your experience. So meditation and the intention of this channel and this video is just to give you the permission to stop your life a little bit, to stop reinforcing the idea that everything is so real and this is how things are. And just for a bit, maybe just for a few minutes a day, just start resting in whatever is true. It is true. It doesn't need you to defend it. You don't need to have an opinion on it. You don't have to know it with words that you can tell someone else. You just need to reconnect with it and live from it. And when you release the grasping in our own mind, when we stop believing that we're living this story we tell ourselves, when you're just releasing all these thoughts and seeing these thoughts coming and going and these emotions coming and going, you start clearly understanding there is something underneath. There is a you, there's a deeper you, that it goes deeper than your body and your mind, which is a lot to say, a lot to swallow, I know. And I don't want you again, I don't want you to believe me. I'm just suggesting you to explore it, because what you're going to find is that you're free. And you're not slave from all the stories our mind tells. And many of people answering this other video that I wrote about the reality of the outside world seem to answer from a standpoint that seemed that they were victims of what they were living in. And I would say that none of us are victims, and that is how you start reclaiming your freedom. And I'm not suggesting to control the world through the law of attraction. I'm just suggesting you to trust that what is real, that the real you is as has always been and as it will ever be. And your mind tells you something different, but you don't need to contract your attention in your mind. You can just open your attention, feel this moment, feel a lot of things that are happening, feel this whole simulation all at once in and out. And then you realize, that's when you realize it's a simulation, because you notice there is no difference between the thoughts that you're thinking and what's happening to you. And you say, okay, I want to control my thoughts so I can live externally what I want to. Well, I mean, I'm not the one who take out of you that game, but if you're in for permanent true happiness, I would say, yeah, well, that's another deeper layer of you trying to control the world, just in a different way, more subtle way, but still, it's the same game. It's the same Neo waking up in a deeper reality. You're still Neo. That's not being enlightened. That's not the ultimate liberation. The ultimate liberation is being completely free from everything. And you are, ironically, paradoxically, you are already. The only thing that is between the way you're experiencing yourself and you're experiencing the world and this deep nature that you are, which is just what you're missing, what you're profoundly missing in your heart. The only difference between these two ways of experiencing the world, that in one you are just contracted in your mind, and the other one you're just allowing things to be the way they are. So you're not escaping anything. I hope this is not triggering more confusion in you. I hope it's giving you the chance to relax and trust that you're home. You're home already. It's just that we're daydreaming very hardly on it. So if you just stop doing it, if you just stop seeing a threatening life, just for a few minutes, just trust. Just trust. Just let go of all your suffering. Because hopefully you will realize by doing that we are creating our own suffering. And that is liberating. This is, if you want to talk about a simulation, this is our simulation. And being in a simulation, as fun as it can be, if you get lost in it, it hurts. It hurts to be alive, thinking that you are a victim in a universe that is completely outside of yourself, completely unrelated to your inner world and experience. That hurts to live from there. So you're right in looking for liberation. Everybody's right to looking for a deep sense of happiness and love and joy. We just need to share between us how to experience it, how to experience liberation. And I can tell you, leaping on the shoulders of the giants, that the problem is what our mind is thinking. So not to suppress your mind, not to change it. You don't need to. You can just, for a moment, like when you go on deep sleep, just like when you experience beauty, like when you fall in love, like when you feel alive. You just let go of suffering. And you only find that all that has ever been, and you know that all that will ever be, as much as you can get to delude yourself again. At some point, you know enough to know yourself, to know the truth of what you really are, to not to be so much deluded into suffering, into buying that you are a victim.